This is NDTV, and you're watching NDTV 24/7.
The thing with talking about Delhi is it's hard to know where to start. After all, the capital offers up so much. Those tree-lined avenues, those sprawling lawns, the monuments that pop up unexpectedly anywhere and everywhere. Politics, plenty, showiness, some snatch and grab. Look around and really, it's hard to figure out. So, I'm keeping it simple and making it about the one thing the capital excels at. Food of all sorts. But this is not going to focus on the standard issue North Indian khana that everyone associates Nai Delhi with. No, there's much more going on. And today we're traveling to some of the finer diners that Delhi offers up. And really, this is where things get very interesting. Rarely has it been more rewarding to have to sing for your supper than it is in the capital right now. The city is just bustling with all sorts of exciting eateries, and our first one is a particularly exciting place. Let me just say, it's a good place to sing for your supper, though happily you don't actually have to confine it to supper, nor actually that I think about it, do you even have to sing, which is a good thing because if I did, nobody would ever feed me. But here's why in Khan Market, a place called Opera is guaranteed to have you singing for different reasons altogether. So yes, L'Opera is a charming little Paris-style patisserie catering squarely to those with a sweet tooth, or more specifically to those like me with well-sweet teeth. Every counter is brimming over. The breads, the rolls, the pastries, the macarons, the eclairs, the cakes. And imagine all this started because someone couldn't get a proper piece of baguette.
My brother, who was doing an internship in India, was looking for good bread and croissant, couldn't find any, and said, why don't we start a family bakery?
So bread may be behind it, but as with the immortal Marie Antoinette, they're determined to let us eat cake. If not instead, then as well. And a good thing too. I have decided to try out a pretty ambitious array, one that may be my undoing, but not yet. First, as it should be with any import from France, the croissant. Here studded with almonds, sweet and rich with a hint of saltiness. The flaky, buttery goodness of it. This, ladies and gentlemen, is how a croissant is supposed to be.
At the beginning, we had a team of experts, of some of the best, we call them meilleurs ouvriers de France, best French craftsmen, who actually have developed some of the recipes which really require the expert touch. And then, in addition to that, we have now two French chefs who are here long-term for us.
The macarons are pretty exceptional too, not dry, hard, over sugary bites, but with a crunchy outer crust giving way to a gorgeous chewy inner. Try the coffee, the passion fruit or the salty caramel.
It is very difficult because they have to be very soft inside and crispy outside, so you really need, and it's after months and months of trials that we finally developed that particular recipe, which is a L'Opera recipe.
Then what they call the well of love, pastry, creme pâtissière and a bowl of raspberry in the middle. There's the almost too pretty to eat chocolate mousse in its solid chocolate pocket. Happily almost remains the operative word. The marvelous mouth-puckering tartness of the lemon tart is well countered by the meringue on top. And then there's the signature mille-feuille, named for the 1,000 leaves of pastry layered with custard, topped with butterscotchy goodness. So, this, and I suppose it's appropriate that I say this at a place called Opera, but this is a symphony. I mean, think of the most complex piece of music that you've heard coming together in perfect harmony, and you have the mille-feuille. Just, honestly, decadence. Pure decadence, a layer at a time. Oh. And with a final brioche studded with raisins to finish things off, L'Opera is in fact the symphony that sweet lovers have been looking for. So really has my day started with sweeter somethings being whispered to me. I have to say it's really got off to a rather harmonious start, and now yes, I am just a little ashamed but not too much. It's after lunch. So at our next stop, prepare yourself. You see, of all the imports from the Big Apple, arguably few have been heralded as warmly as the additions at the Leela Palace in New Delhi, which has in the space of a few months brought down 2 New York landmark eateries. One is of course Le Cirque, and the other, the perhaps less well known though equally tony, Mego. Megu translates into blessing, and no doubt for the hungry and the well-heeled, this is just that. First up, it's easily one of the most dramatic, well-thought-out places I've seen. Not a thing here doesn't have a reason for it. From origami wall art to the slew of giant bells, from the hanging ropes of sake pots guarding the sushi counter, to this, their showpiece, a giant crystal Buddha. So, this is their crystal Buddha. I am told it took sculptors working on it a year to do it. It has been made out of optical lens, and apparently if you pour water over it and you wish for good health, it comes to you. Remember that Megu means blessings, so it's not a bad idea to invoke some of them whilst you're here. So apparently this is what I have to do. Okay. And actually it seems appropriate that here I should do this to make sure that good things come my way, because I'm very sure in a few minutes very good things are going to be coming my way. And yes, I was told that if I was dazzled by the mood, I would be destroyed by the food. In a good way, naturally. Before I start, they have something interesting for me.
I work in Japan, the vegetarian restaurant, but here, different. Taste different, people think different.
It's about the ingredients that we use in our food. They're really exquisite. There's lots of research that has gone in these ingredients, and then chef, he puts in his heart and soul in making, preparing and finishing each and every dish to make it just perfect.
Yes, I'm not sure if this would in fact be big in Japan, but it should be. After all, herbivores deserve happiness too. And so we start with their 2 signature dishes. The very smart crispy rice cracker crusted spears of asparagus, then this mix of spinach and tofu served with courgette and edamame in a supremely delicious sesame sauce. I tell you, someone gives me the sesame sauce every single day for the rest of my life, I will die happy. Alright, vegetables are a hit, will the meats measure up? I have 5 words for you. Wagyu and foie gras croquettes. Oh yeah. Alright, that's 7 words, but who's counting when they taste this good? And yes, now we get to the fish. Fluke carpaccio, light and lovely. Salmon tartare is not just delicious, it puts the art into performance. Jelly is melted with special coal, then mixed in, salmon roe sauce fills it up. And even factoring in how pretty the plate is, it tastes better than it looks. I then try another of their signature dishes, these prawns in their crisp batter, flavored with a very special chili. Kanzuri is a chili. The process of preparation for it takes about 3 to 4 years. It's a bit of a shame because I tell you this dish is going to last about 3 to 4 seconds.
Kanzuri literally means produced in the chill. They lay these chilies over ice beds, first of all, for 3 days, so the spiciness goes down a little bit. Post which it is mixed with malted rice, some Japanese sea salt and yuzu, that is Japanese lemon, and they keep all this together for 3 to 4 years. So what happens is when you eat it, you taste all these elements that were used in making this.
And now the sushi. The presentation here really provides half the fun, like this igloo with sushi making itself at home. Be assured though, this house will be on the market soon since the tenants will be swallowed up. The rolls are fantastic, the quality of cuts sublime. Try one, try all, they will be worth it.
That's it is Japanese. Like these kind of things, the small things get together, but not messy. Organized. Yes, organized is important. Same size, same size.
Now many people make the mistake of thinking there's little to Japanese food beyond raw fish and rice. Few who have been here will make that mistake. You see, the mains are as much fun. The juicy miso marinated lamb chops with shiitake mushrooms, the luscious lobster pan-fried in chili garlic miso. But most of all this, the wagyu served on a hot stone. That flambe, by the way, is Hennessy. The sauce at the side is made of fabulous fatty foie gras.
Best thing ever. Best thing ever. That is so ridiculously good. I'm not sure I have words for it.
I have to say, with the reputation and the price tag attached, it's nice that Megu brings the fun on too. A philosophy that applies to dessert as well. How else can you explain a yuzu pepper flavored creme brulee topped with sake soaked strawberries? Or the cheesecake where wasabi, my old friend, pops up.
Forget New York style cheesecake. Wasabi one is the way to go.
So yes, I have to say, for foodies in the capital, Megu really has wound up being quite the, well, Megu.
This has really been a meal that has put the fine into dine in ways I hadn't even imagined. It's probably a good time for me to take a break, not least because I need to spend some quality time with my wasabi cheesecake. We'll see you back in just a bit. Tucked away in the midst of a quiet residential colony here in the capital is one of its biggest, most potent surprises. Yes, you're about to discover why its Indian accent, the accent is in fact on all the right things.
So call me late to the party, but it's only recently that the fast-growing murmurs about Indian accent and its chef Manish Mehrotra had reached me. And once they had, I couldn't get there fast enough. Could this be finally the one Indian restaurant to truly give a world spin to good old-fashioned Desi Khana? It seems so. The place itself gives little sign of the surprises to come. It's a simple space, no frills, no fuss. One that seems to say they're so sure of the food that embellishment is irrelevant. And as I sit down and dish after dish arrives, it probably is. After all, how often does your meal start with an amuse-bouche of baby naan filled with blue cheese?
Take inspiration from day-to-day things, whatever I have seen in my childhood, and the most iconic dishes which we have in Indian cuisine. Then I do a twist on everything.
It is Indian accent. Now, so we said, so is it Angrezi khana with an Indian accent? Or is it Indian food where the accent is Angrezi? Is what the interpretation was.
Well, whichever accent they're going for, they've got it right. This might be even more than I hoped for. Clever, witty, affectionate takes on classics, souping them up so you may not settle for the original again. Like the incredible galoti kebab, melt in your mouth mince with melting foie gras on top, for that necessary sweet strawberry and green chili chutney alongside it.
It takes a particular kind of crazy genius to come up with this. I mean, the beauty is, such is the simplicity and the perfection of the combination that you take one bite and you actually wonder why no one thought of doing it like this before.
Are fried in that fiery South Indian staple gunpowder and then tossed with flame roasted coconut shavings. It's familiar yet fabulously fresh. Moving to their aloo chaat after that may sound like an anticlimax, but it's not. Here it's specific and smart.
The concept of this dish, when a lady goes to a chaat wala and tell, "Bhaiya, meri tikki thodi zyada karari karna," so we have made the entire tikki karari. So that's the texture thing which it works in.
And happily his references take you all over the country. The Nandrasa may be a classic, he's kept it that way, only with fattier, juicy bits of crab than you've probably had before. The Parsi Patrani Machi is not steamed, instead he uses basa prepped in a flavored butter. And so it is Patrani Machi, only so much better.
I imagine it's a bit like what a drug addiction must be like. I know I should stop eating and I can't seem to do it.
But perhaps the starter I was most dazzled by was this, a ravioli made of kanvi, filled with goat cheese, not a fleck of garlic or a sprig of onion, and it was delicious.
This dish is based on a Jain snack, which is khandvi. So we have made this dish no onion, no garlic, no root vegetables, no potatoes.
I think the words authentic and traditional are oft misrepresented. Basically, as long as the food is tasty and the origins could be anywhere, as long as they're honest. So I think he goes to sleep conjuring up these things. So for him, it was a kid in a candy store because he got to experiment, but experiment at the highest level using the finest ingredients and then matching them with traditional Indian flavors.
The thing is, whenever I plan a dish, and fusion word everybody use, a modern Indian, contemporary Indian, but if you see, if whatever I'm mixing international ingredients or international style or anything, if I can tell anyone the reason why I did that, if that answer is there with me, then that dish is successful.
Successful, certainly. It manages to be both sentimental and smart at the same time. Local flavors intact, somehow improved on. Then there's another surprise for me. Out come their trio of kulchas. One with pumpkin and cheddar, one with applewood smoked bacon, yaha, and one with mushrooms and truffle. Don't ask me to choose between them, I can't. I then moved on to the pile of peppery perfect Chettinad duck. And then I get to try the tamarind coated barbecued ribs with its stack of aloo chili chaat.
Tamarind coated tandoori roasted ribs. I'm not sure if it is even fair to ask of anything else from life.
Even the old malai kofta gets new life, made with silken tofu, finished with quinoa and a squash-based sauce.
So here's what's strange. I don't even particularly like silken tofu. I don't even particularly like malai kebabs, but this is some whole other level.
So after all that, I thought there was no way desserts could match up. Silly me, how little I knew.
The idea was to have fun. The food is not frivolous. We'll be definitely having fun with it.
And fun it is, especially after my little churran-laden chalpoi is laid out. But it gets better. There's the dessert sampler. Filled with pumpkin cheesecake to start. And then with a rum bowl to move on to. This one flambéed in Old Monk, dark with Valrhona chocolate.
Who hasn't grown up eating god-awful rum bowls? It's what we do, right? Here is a rum bowl that makes the reason for their existence in the first place finally justifiable.
But that wasn't all. There's a beautifully moist banana cake, the kind you want to curl up with, garnished with what fun, phantom sugar cigarettes. There's the inspired touch of mishti doi served in cannoli. And then there's this, a slice of treacle tart that's made up of doda barfi. Yes, doda barfi.
Take the greatest experience you've had, take the tastiest thing you've ever put in your mouth, multiply it by 100, and you might come close to the ridiculousness that is the doda barfi pie with treacle. I mean, it is absurd how good this is.
I suspect, folks, that this is the new way to nirvana, a bite at a time.
So here it is, ladies and gentlemen, the future of Indian food in this country, and if it isn't, believe me, it should be. This has honestly been one of, I don't know, the most exciting, even enlightening, certainly extraordinarily delicious meals it has been my pleasure to have. And since, despite everything I have indulged with, I am not quite close to done, I'm going to say goodbye. Yes, we've come to the end of the show, so if you have feedback you'd like to share, please do write into WTFF@ndtv.com. I'm not sure you can enjoy watching this as much as I have enjoyed eating it, so I'll just say a bon appetit to you, and despite everything, to me too.